I don't agree with it, man. But it seems like nobody want to stand up for it. Nobody wants to. If you say something, you're being too harsh. You're not being you're not being acceptive enough of other people's feelings, and I think it's a cop out. People have too much of a hard time trying to make their life in their own body,
Right.
and they sit there and try to adjust or conform to something else because they think it's gonna be easier.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like when
Right.
a woman becomes a man or tries to become a man, it's because she's had some kind of trauma dealing with the opposite sex and feels like, well, if I become one or if I do that, it'll be easier for me.
And but what do you? But what do you? I mean, you made a good point of maybe being trauma something in their lifestyle. I mean, their
What
life
what
growing up.
that's like when a woman or a man say they're gay after being straight so many years.
Right.
I mean, why does it take so long for you to be honest with yourself if that's really what you felt like or what you believe you are?
Right. But
Most of the time it's trauma, man. Like you said, these kids are so young and so get into relationships so fast. They're thinking about forever at 12 and 13. They're not thinking about like trial and error. They're just thinking like, oh no, this is my forever. This is.
right. Right. D, what do you think about that? And I know you eating on your hot chili, but what do you think about that? Well, Jose,
Fear.
fear?
People fear how you gonna judge them and all this. That's what take all the time. But
Do,
like
do
when you
you
first off,
do
I
you
don't
think
mean to
that
be,
that's
I don't mean to be funny, but ain't nobody just when they first start feeling okay. So if you come out 10 years later and say, "Oh, I'm gay," when you first start feeling gay, you don't like, "Oh, I feel gay today," or you know, you gonna wait and it's gonna eat you up and
Right.
or
But
whatever.
but do
what?
you think? Okay, let me ask both of y'all this: do you
But
think God deal with feelings or God deal with truth
Truth,
when it
true.
comes to?
real fast.
Okay,
That's
so
that's that's the thing. Everybody tries to avoid the truth now. Even science, they try to avoid
Yeah.
science. You know, God and science go hand in hand.
correct. I agree with you 100%.
That's why when you're born biologically a man, you're supposed to be a man. You got the man body parts. I mean, I don't know, if your life is too rough on you and you just feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be a female. I mean, I don't know how to explain it,
Right,
but
right.
but you're given what you're given. It's not for us to change it.
So for us, I think from a, I won't even say because it's, and I can't even use an educated guess because it is what it is in front of me because I look at it. Hey, what you're telling the what you're saying to the creator that you made a mistake, and I just believe those are dangerous words to spew out of your mouth because if I know I'm correct, and Deke, and I know you're gonna help me out.
Hmm.
When God finished creating everything, He looked at it, He said it was good, and that
Okay.
was it. That means He didn't have to go back and say, "Oh, let me redid this because it was wrong." No,
Hmm.
He said once that means He made that man good and He made that woman good.
Uh-huh.
I
I
don't know.
think
It looks
because
like Deke got a little bit of different of opinion.
say that.
It looked
Nah,
like Deacon got a little bit of different of opinion.
nah.
Come on,
I mean,
Nah.
hey, I mean, I can accept people's choices, but a lot
right?
of people are forcing it on young children. That's like for instance, people who vote on guns that are 17 or to just turned 18, right?
Right.
Let's I'm just making an example. They're 18 years old. They ain't never been able to handle a gun. They ain't never been able to purchase a gun. But
Right.
they all of a sudden have the right to go shoot in the army with one. They got the right to go kill with one. They
You
got
make
the
a
right
good
to go
point.
vote for one,
That's
but they ain't never handled it.
that's a
That's
good
like
point.
that's like me putting my let's say that's like me putting my sexuality in somebody else's hands. Here, go ahead
Let's
and make the choice for me.
Yeah, yeah. And and it's to me, I think Jose is because we have allowed, and I'm talking about, and I was just telling Snow this earlier, is that we have, as parents, we have allowed so much uh, from society to dictate to how we raise and how we, you know, kind of, talk to our kids and how we raise them and, how
Well,
we should teach them. And it's like it's more influence on the outside than the inside.
well, what happened is people start letting their business come out of the home for one.
Well, yeah, that's the first thing.
You let your business come out of the home, and everybody else got their 2 cents. You
Yeah.
know, oh, you shouldn't spank a child.
Hmm.
But why? I mean, is
Mhm.
I mean, ain't spanking is a part of discipline?
Hey man,
You better not.
if I don't discipline my children, the minute they go and break a law, break a rule that is made by society, whoever disciplines them is not going to have any mercy on it.
None, none,
You
man,
better
at
not.
all. No mercy.
I mean, like I said, that's what happens. So people start saying, "Oh,
Tell her where. You better not.
Yeah, yeah,
you shouldn't spank a child. You shouldn't discipline them in the schools. You shouldn't talk to my child that way. My child is an angel. My child don't do that."
right,
Man, being a bus driver, we firsthand seen that shit. The parent would go to war over the child, but wouldn't discipline the child for nothing.
right, right.
The child cussing and spitting in front of them, and
But
they find a reason. They find an excuse.
right, right. And to me, I think uh this, for I think even just for the for the public, I think we have been so over
Mm.
engrossed in what society has put before us, and it's like becoming the norm.
That's that's
Well,
that's just it. And I think it starts off in each individual home, each person.
Right,
Like for me, um, anything that I went through in my childhood at first, in my 20s,
right.
man, it was trauma. It was trauma. You know,
hey,
man.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did what you did with when you was a kid, did it have to do with anything how you was raised?
No,
Okay. So it was
not
something you
not at all.
whatever you dealt with, it was something you went and you got hooked up with it on your own, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it was my own
Okay.
choice.
All right.
It's like I tell my children, you always have a choice.
But
Always.
okay, so how you was raised, whatever you dealt with, I don't even need to know what it is. Whatever you dealt with, did your parents or whoever raised you try to tell you anything different about the choice you chose?
Always. Always. They
Okay.
always they always did that. That's why
Okay.
I said some of this stuff is
You
genetic,
see
whether
where we
people want to
going?
believe it or
You see
not.
where we going, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, each individual has their right to make their own choice.
Right.
But a lot of that parenting, what ended up happening is the parents would turn around and say, well, I don't want my child to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
And they get
And
soft.
sometimes when we say that, we cripple the kids. It just
Exactly.
depends on what it is.
Depends on the situation. Depends on the situation. Because there's a
Yeah.
lot of the times that what you went through made you who you are. And if
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you're an accomplished person, then whatever struggle you went through didn't harm you, it made you better.
Right.
correct, correct.
But like I said, in my early 20s, man, you know, I did place blame. I did say, well, it's because I was treated like this. It's because
Yeah.
I was forced to do this.
Yeah.
But when you get older and not everybody matures enough, or not
Mm-hmm.
everybody self-reflects enough to say, you know what, I deserve that, or this made me who I am.
Well, let me ask you this. Hold on, let me do this right quick. And I'm gonna y'all hold up. Yes. I just want to say this to you guys right quick. The information provided as far as general informational purpose only, and it is not intended for any professional advice. This is only given our just an opinion, and if you want to seek other professional, seek it from them. This show is just only for entertainment purposes. Now, watch this. My thing is this here. If if we want to play that Russian roulette, you got one bullet in the gun, period. And it's like a make or break thing. And we're saying to this generation, like, look, I understand what you may be going through, but it has to be other ways to express or to someone to explain to them what is the correct way of trying to, because I'm trying to figure out what are you trying to accomplish out there, because if we are or we or if we are supposed to multiply and be fruitful, you can't do that with the same sex. You can't do that uh, from somebody, doctor or whatever. God made the man and the woman for that particular reason, is to repopulate. But at the same time, uh, I think what happened, and Deke, I need you to help me out, is I think we've been too busy multiplying but not being fruitful, and not teaching our kids the fruit of the spirit, so they got lost in that transitioning of growing up. Well, I'm not in touch with who I am because you have not been taught,
Mhm.
or you don't have that parent there, or you don't have that uncle there, or someone to show you the right thing, because the streets going to show you wrong. They're going to tell you wrong. You think, oh, I'm a good singer, and you come on in this clique in Hollywood or wherever the case may be. They say, oh yeah, 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 we'll help you out, and you do this here, and you're like, I ain't never done no stuff like this just to get where you at. And the mindset have totally is not there because you have not been taught. Now, do 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 we blame them on that? Or
It's not always because you haven't been taught. That's what Deke was getting to. That it's not about just always being taught.
okay,
Some of these choices, they, you, us make on our own. I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying that there's certain choices that you make as an adult. You have freedom. You have the freedom of mind
okay,
to
you
make.
just said the key word, Jose. Choice.
So that's part of the problem, because like even in your situation, right? Your father raised you to be one denomination,
Right.
and you chose to go a different denomination.
Correct.
So it's like Deke said, it doesn't matter how much you instill in your child, or how much you program, or how much you try to make them be a certain way. If they want to be that stubborn child that I know everything, or you guys are being too hard in judging us, you
Right.
know, they kind of tend to flip that switch. And it doesn't matter how much you can pound your head against a rock, and it ain't gonna make it any softer.
Right. Right. Right.
It,
You so right.
and I'm not saying, so that's it goes back to the same thing. It's not let the reins loose, but at one point in time you got to know they're gonna make their own choice.
Okay, let me ask you this. Is it, and either one of you can answer, do you really think part of that is absent of the father, because he the one who set the tone. I'm gonna go out and stretch out and say that is it because the father's not there, but to we always say lay down the law, or it's just because women have really dominated in raising their kids without the man. Is it kind of like a catch-22? Like, well, I don't need the man
It,
to.
it's a little bit of both. Have you ever been in a situation where you try to raise your child a certain way and the mother says no?
You know what? I grew up, man. I put it this
Eh,
way. I
no,
grew up.
I'm just saying. When you were in that situation with Fatty and everybody else,
Right, right.
did the mother always agree with you and say you're head of the house, you lay down the foundation, we will follow you footstep by footstep?
Well, you know what? I would say for me, it was kind of different. And the reason I'm saying it like that, Jose, is that because when she transitioned, well, when we went together and she got a, she got her other husband, she told him, no, you is not going to do this. But I didn't, she didn't have a problem with me because I try to,
So that's what I'm getting at. That not every man who gets into a relationship, not every man is capable of laying down the law or the foundation or being that figure that the Bible says you should be. Like you
right.
said, man should be first, then wife. Even though women don't want to hear that, that's the other reason. Like, oh well,
Oh,
e- e-
now we hitting some around. They don't want to hear that.
equality. They want equality, but they can't do equal jobs because some of it requires physical that
Right.
their structure don't come with.
Well, and sometimes mentally and emotionally because we don't easily bend.
I mean, we're not always the best mentally and emotionally either, but
Correct.
in a lot of cases,
Right.
we're
But
supposed to
I
be.
think I'm thinking from the basic perspective. I think we really don't bend over because we don't. It don't bother us on small stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
we were raised and taught to be that way, and and
correct.
and in some aspects it sticks to us, but in some
Right.
aspects it don't. Some there's some people who were raised by a single mother, and man, they perfectly young gentlemen. They strong. they
Right.
they they know what to do. They do all the masculine things. They go
Correct.
hunting, they go fishing. They know how to survive. And then you got some that they were raised by a father who don't know how to do none of that.
Right. Right.
And does that make them any less? but
No,
but it
it
but it
just
could be it could be that the pair wasn't the right pair. They say.
we don't choose our parents, huh?
Mm.
Only God does that. I believe
Yeah.
only God chooses the parents for us. Come on, D. What do you think? What do you think, D?
So to answer the last question you said,
Yeah.
and this one,
Yes.
if you plant a seed and it depends on how firm you stand on planting that seed.
Okay.
And if you just plant it a little bit, guess what? That child, whether it's just the mother by herself or the daddy by herself,
Right.
you plant that seed and you know, and you stand on that seed firm and you continue to keep planting, or you could just do it a little bit. That depends on how that child gonna receive that seed that you
Right.
plant up in their head. So
Correct.
so whether now if you got two parents, right,
Right.
it's gonna be real firm. But if you got just a daddy or a mother, it's gonna be a little bit lesser, but it could be planted, but it's gonna be, not as effective as the mother and the father.
Now, is that
So
is that is that the design or is it society design?
it's written, man. It's written. Doc, why you laughing? It's written, man. You know, the mother and the father is supposed to be in there planting at the same time,
Now
right?
I got to
That's
play.
the point I was going to get to. They got to be at the
See?
same time. They got to be in cadence, man. It's got to be right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot. Because if
Correct.
it ain't, it don't matter if they got both parents there.
Yeah.
If that one parent is always pulling back when the other one's trying to push forward, it don't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like you just said, it could be a mother and a father, but they ain't agreeing. You
Right.
know, agreeing is a powerful thing in the house.
That's that's how most.
Amen.
I think that's how most. That's how most
Doc
have
say,
gotten divided.
"Amen."
Yeah, I mean, you have to agree.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the only way you're going to get or to accomplish
Yeah.
anything pertaining to your household. But
Hmm.
like Jose said, one can't be pulling and the other one pushing.
Right.
You couldn't. Matter of fact, you wasting energy. That's a lot of energy to be wasted.
But
Okay.
Because if you
but
got somebody who's strong and love to pull, man, come on.
hey,
Yeah.
but check this out, Reverend T. It has also to do with all this
Mhm.
like shit that you would see, or sorry, but
No,
things that
you
you would
good. You
see
good. You
that
good.
you would feel are too old, too strict, too what did they call it? Too caveman,
Overbearing. Yeah.
too arcade. Like some of these religions, they say, you know what, you cannot marry outside your religion.
Hmm.
See, that's my baby. That's what my baby been went through growing up. And she got in her 20s. Man, you better not be XYZ. You got to be the same religion
Hmm.
or else.
They but they do that for a reason, and we don't see that reason.
I mean, come on, Jose.
At there's some of that right there that creates that pull and push.
Okay, I give you an example
Okay.
that I can't because I always share it. When I was single, and of course, I raised Methodist, and then non-denomination. You start. So I met the young lady with Jehovah Witness. She liked me, and I like her, but she could not date me because she was Jehovah Witness and I wasn't. Well, I wasn't going to transition over to no Jehovah
Yeah.
Witness. Why? Of course, that's what I've been taught, and I stuck with it. Yes, I already don't know about the religion. I already know about it. It's all right. It wasn't I wasn't gonna say anything bad about it, but I couldn't understand the concept. I'm saying you like me, it doesn't
So
matter.
that's what I'm getting at. It tends to matter in the long run
Wow.
because of the
Explain
child,
explain to us when you say long
because of
run.
your children and
Okay.
your household.
All
So
right.
it tends to matter because of your household. Because let's say you and her got together,
Right.
and when you were dating, I know you did a lot of sinning that you shouldn't have done by living
R-
with somebody when you weren't married,
Right.
having relations with someone when you ain't married.
Right.
But let's say you made that relationship and you 5 years into the relationship and you both have a child. Now, she's she was brought up one religion and you were brought up the other, but neither one of you really practices the religion you were brought up, but also neither one of you wants to drop the religion you had.
Now I met a couple like that, and it worked for them.
Did they teach,
She
did they teach both religions?
right. They did,
Hmm.
But it's
and
rare that you can both get on that mindset and say,
right,
let's make it work. You got so many mixed cultures, mixed religions
correct.
that right now there's no religion.
It's
There's
really not. It's honestly, it's really not.
that's the biggest problem. But because they chose to say, you know what, I'm okay with marrying out my religion, but neither one of them practice enough to say, hey, you know what, if we're not going to stick to one religion, let's at least practice both.
Right, right, right. See, like with me and Snow, I mean, once I learned, Jose, that religiosity and spirituality is on two different pages, and I know I'm more spiritual because I'm trying, and I have walked this path where I have come across like
Yeah, go
every
get it.
person you can possibly think of with different religion, and when you talk to them, at the end of the conversation, it's always, "Hey man, I want to be a better person, or I want to make sure that my family is taken care of, or X, Y." It's nothing about, my religion said X, Y, Z, and and I shouldn't be even talking to you. It wasn't nothing like that.
It's in your religion. Isn't part of your household your Bible? Like that's part of your
Right.
belief system and everything.
Well, we pray. Put it this way, we pray. We
Okay.
understand the Bible. Of course, we teaching our baby, but I'm teaching my baby. We more spiritual over here. Why? Because we're not going to condemn another religion, because I know for a fact that every religion on planet Earth is created by man, and God had nothing. God ain't say y'all to go and create a religion. No, He said, I want you to walk in my glory. Now you have to know what that is.
The thing that everybody's doing is they let it create a rift.
Right.
They let it create
Right.
that
For nothing. For
for
nothing.
nothing.
For
And
nothing.
and and then the ones that don't, they go so far left that that they create acceptance to anything and everything.
Correct. Correct. And I think that comes from uh want everyone to feel included, but not making them be accountable for their actions. Look, man,
Everybody want a participation trophy. Nobody want to win. Nobody want to lose.
right, well, put it like this here. It's like we want everything easy, and that's including the walk to
And
heaven.
and I think overall that is the downfall of society.
Yeah.
Everything's got to be easy. Why are people overweight? It ain't because of the carbs you're eating. It's
Right.
because before you had to work to get to those carbs to be able to eat them to
Right.
to be slim.
Right.
You had to walk your ass miles or ride a
Miles
horse
and miles and
or you had to plow a field or you had to do something physical that would.
right.
Okay, so now everything is easy. Now you got the remote on your phone, you got the remote in your hand, you
Right.
got the you got like, oh, I can microwave, I can sit there and do everything in
Right.
my
Man,
air
you ain't
fryer.
got to get up. Just pick up the phone and order food come to
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So that in itself is going to be the downfall of humanity. Not
Right.
not not just not just a couple of people. It's going everybody.
And the separations, like the religions, the skin colors,
Yeah.
to
Right.
keep us arguing all the time
Yep.
instead of coming at peace with one another.
Correct. Correct.
Because nobody wants to accept that we're all the same, and it doesn't matter who you choose to call your God or who you call my God, as long as we all agree that there's one God.
Correct.
That's it.
I agree.
That's where it becomes the division.
You sure right. Keep going. Yeah, keep going. I'm doing something right quick. Keep going.
So I mean, it's just but accepting some of that stuff is the reason why. It's perception. People see things in a different manner, and that's like me telling you, hey, you know what? 4 plus 4 is 8. Well, how many other ways is there to make 8?
Come on. You sure
That's
right.
all it is. It's perception.
So, but that's how people are interpreting life as well. You can be discussing with someone. You can actually argue with someone so strongly, and both have the same you're fighting the same battle, but you're fighting against each other because you don't open your eyes and see that you're actually saying the same thing.
Correct. Well, you're so correct. Man, you know how many people I didn't talk to, and I'm like, oh, you must be just saying it in a different way because it sounds the same to me.
And that's what
Mhm.
it is.
Yeah.
But to get somebody who has their eyes closed to that,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you just ain't going to get it, man.
Yeah.
And and it goes for us too. Us old schools or us old heads is one way. This is
Correct.
how this is how I go. This is my pet. Like, let me tell you this. You ever let your wife drive?
Yeah. I'll be wanting her to drive.
Hold on. You ever let her drive, but in your mind you already have your own map on which way you would go and how you
Yeah,
would back out and
you
how you would
sure, yeah,
drive.
you sure right.
Mhm.
Mm.
And the minute they don't do it, you start like, why are you going this way?
Right.
Mhm.
You sure correct. Now that I'm guilty of that.
Okay.
Definitely I'm guilty of that.
And that's just all about perception because they could be thinking, well, they got their own little route, you know,
Right.
planned out in their own head.
Correct.
Well, I was gonna go this way, and I was gonna go that way. So sometimes it's kind of like, all right, well, why?
You
To
know what?
to put me at ease, I ask why.
Right.
Because if I just sit there and I just kind of like, well, I just can't accept that. Why? Like my route, I know my route. My route's shorter, but even
Right.
though it may not be,
Right. Well, to them it may not be. And I think for that, Jose, I think uh
but
I can agree with perception, but at the
see,
same time,
back to
I'm thinking more so of, okay, I see things differently. Like you said,
but it's still perception, brother.
look,
It's still called perception. How you look at it is how you look at it.
right,
How
because
Deke looks at it, that's how Deke looks at it. How I look at it is how I look at it. It
right,
still goes back to perception. And
but
it goes back to the same way with people who, when you said, why is it these kids turning gay? Why is it these adults, man with man,
right,
woman with woman, or wanting to convert themselves into something else? Hey, how many young ladies went through trauma with their first love,
right,
with their second love?
right.
And before you know it, they're thinking, in my mind, their first thought is, it can't be something fucked up with everybody else. Maybe there's something wrong with me, and that's what makes them go experiment with the opposite sex. Because
One of
hell,
the possibilities.
boyfriend number one did it,
Right,
boyfriend number two did it, guy number three did it, guy number four did it.
right.
Maybe there's nothing wrong with them, because the first thing we do is judge ourselves.
That is true.
We judge ourselves the hardest. When we do great, we congratulate ourselves. When we do bad, man, we're beating ourselves up left and right.
Yeah, yeah.
So when we have self-esteem issues, what's the first thing you do? You think you think because she said something about you that hurts you?
No, you said
No,
self.
it's when you,
Yeah.
oh, she said this, and then you start looking at it and saying, maybe she got a point.
Well, that's why they say self-esteem. It's self. You self-examine.
We never been taught to love ourselves.
No, we haven't.
None of us.
Honestly, honestly,
None of us.
we have. D, what do you think? Have we really been taught to love ourselves? Can you even with somebody you may know, was the conversation from mom and dad said, first love yourself. We know we love you, but learn to love yourself. No, I don't think so, because that wasn't in our household. We was just taught what to do and follow instructions and
Yeah.
do what I say and not what I do, whatever the case may be. And
You will
we
you
be
will
obedient.
find you will find that when you look in that mirror and you like what you see,
Yeah,
everything becomes easier.
it is. It does.
Everything becomes easier. Even the struggles you go through become easier, as long as you can still find face and love what you see in that
Yeah,
mirror.
yeah.
Because if you don't love what you see, you lash out at others that remind you of what you hate in yourself.
And good thing you brought that up, Jose, is because let me just share it with you guys. Is
Okay.
that when I was making my transition from my first marriage, and it was just a bunch of whys going through my head. Why? I'm like, God, I'm trying to do what you want me to do, and why you allow this to happen? I'm like, man, you just gonna allow it to happen? So, and those who know the story, and y'all should know it, but it was just the idea. I was getting depressed. And for some strange reason, I guess children and women don't think men we don't get depressed. We like, oh, suck it up. Like, no, we get depressed. We get,
It's
you know,
because they know deep down inside we're supposed to be the foundation, and that foundation is supposed to be concrete.
yeah, but man,
But
sometimes
they don't realize that we are human too.
correct. And sometimes do
We're
concrete do
flesh.
break. It do break. When it got some heavy stuff on there, it do break. Not saying that it get broken into pieces, but it do breaks. And one thing I know, because I poured concrete before, you can repair broken concrete.
Yeah.
Deacon Evans, you know about that. I forgot you work for the city.
We did it together.
Yeah, we did it right. So we know how to repair broken concrete. So the same thing with with men. The assumption is well, y'all supposed to be the solid foundation of the marriage or the relationship, and nothing should really break y'all into a sense of breaking down. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. Now, if we would had this conversation 20 years ago, I was like, shoot, ain't nothing breaking me. No, I can share that. No,
Life life will show you different.
Hmm.
no,
But
I'll be
but
the
it all but it all goes back to, like I said, some of the things you want to say, like, well, my parents did this, my parents did that. Well, their parents did this and their parents did that, and then their parents did this and their parents did that.
right,
So some of the stuff, it just wasn't taught. We didn't have the knowledge. There's there's different levels of hillbilly backwood upbringings, decades.
right,
I
right.
mean, and that's the truth. Like,
It is
well, so my mom and dad, they came from what you would call like the Mexican type hillbillies. You lived you lived on a hill, you farmed, and you did everything, and there was no Dr. Close. There was no
right.
society that said, you know what, you mental this mental is that, and it was none of that. And who knows to say what home remedies they tried that caused more damage than good, and
Yeah,
everything else. And then they passed whatever knowledge they had on to.
on to us, and we and I don't think the next generation didn't take the initiative to go more in depth to find out more. We just took
and
our parents'
and I
words
think
face value, and we kept it moving.
and I think that's why we are in a society where we are today. It has nothing to do with the kids you raised, 15 years ago.
Right.
Not, I mean, it's enough to make a change, but it ain't enough to
Correct.
really put it where it's at. That's all
You
that
got to
stuff
put a
has
dent into it. Yeah. Yeah.
rolled
I
down
see what
and
you're
rolled
saying.
down generations and generations and generations.
But yeah, man. But D, let me ask you this, D.
Mm-hmm. Come on with it.
Do you think society plays a part into the way how they uh, have influence? I mean, just I would say just general on raising kids to the way how kids perceptive, way how they should live. It's like, okay, just disregard what the elders may say, or do you think society plays that with through social media, through all the avenues that they have? Because I know I can speak from it. We didn't have all that FaceTime and Facebook and Instagram, all that when I was growing up. I mean, we didn't know what that was. The internet, there wasn't no such thing as no internet.
Hmm.
But what do you think? You know, because
Absolutely.
we got two little girls now, and that's they love to get on that doggone tablet, boy,
Absolutely, Doc.
and 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 know how to count and all that other stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I think this society, just my opinion, but I want you to give me yours. Uh, I think it's do more harm than good. Just me. But go ahead, D.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, you done talked about this already, but I'll share it with everybody else, man. It's really a dark, dark place they trying to
I'm telling you.
take take us to, like as far as the starting with the kids, because we talked about all the kid channels, the channels that the kids watch, or putting putting like little dark signs inside the cartoons, homosexuality in the cartoons, demons in the cartoons.
Every TV show has got some
Yeah,
kind of,
on Nickelodeon, they celebrating Gay Pride Month and all this.
yeah.
So
Well, I couldn't understand that part. I was like,
yeah,
even the macaroni and cheese commercial, but I was like,
yeah,
I had to show Snow, and Snow was like, I be a doggone. How this thing
yeah.
Hey
go
man,
into the macaroni and come out rainbow and then looking like he's
it's
drunk?
because
But
it's such a big crowd. Instead of social media is exactly that. It's used for that purpose. Influence.
Hmm.
That's why they are called influencers, and they program you. If you let them watch it, They will program them the same way. It'll
Right.
make
Mhm.
them believe that what they're looking at is the right way. But it all comes down to people who are in control of the social media too. How that programming continues to come around. How those ads come around, the microphones, the access to your photos, to your pictures,
Right.
to your behaviors. If you see, man, my best friend that I went to school with, we lost touch, but they in Cancun and they doing this and they doing that, and I'm over
Well,
here busting my butt Monday through Friday, and I can't afford to do what they do. But that's part of the problem. It's
yeah.
perception. You don't see that those people got their credit cards maxed out, that those people
Right.
got arrested, that that they've been through trauma, raped, beat up,
Right.
doing what they do, because they ain't gonna show you the bad. Why would they want to
Well,
show you the bad?
of course. Look, nobody never want to show you the bad because,
But
like
it
y'all said earlier, perception. We wanna say, oh, look what I'm. Look at man, you never gonna see me post new car. You
but
gonna see
but
me
now
post new house. I ain't gonna do all that stuff.
but now Rev, that also plays a role. It's our fault.
Explain.
Like what you're doing right now. You got a podcast, right?
Yeah, I got to put it out there.
So let's say you busy and your little girl says, "Daddy, I want to talk to you." Baby, wait a minute. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, she has her iPad, she has her phone. You ain't supervising what she watching.
You know it's remote control now.
Now, see, yeah, you can try to do all that, but even trying to do all that, you're gonna miss something.
We do.
Hey,
And I get what you're saying. And
hey,
and
And
I'm gonna say, look, I'm gonna share this story with y'all. I don't know if y'all seen this video. I think it was Taraji P Henson or something like that. Um, she had they did. She was telling the story about it was a kid on set, right? And like she was trying to teach this kid his role.
right,
I think he was like maybe 10 or 11. And like the kid, she was trying to teach him his role, and his role required him like saying some grown up words, like cursing a little bit, kind of
right,
like, and I think saying it to a grown up.
yeah,
And this kid was breaking down because he had been taught to respect, not
right.
curse. But Hollywood, it's okay for kids. But
because it's acting, it's fake.
They call it fake, but it's
Well,
still
but
coming out of your mouth.
exactly. So y'all get where the story going.
yeah,
But it was a real story, man. Like the kid was like, man, my parent told me not to do this, but in Hollywood, it's okay.
What they say pretend. What they call it
well, that's
pretend.
that's like I think the actor's name is Terrence Howard, the one that
Hmm.
was on
Exactly. That's it.
Hustle and Flow.
I think that's
He,
it.
Yeah.
he tells you that it ain't just acting, man. That's that we all have that dark side. We all have that a little bit of that criminal or that craziness. Because if it wasn't that way, you wouldn't be able to act it out so well. So it's not fake. Everybody has to have a little bit, and when you've been raised the right way and you start to go that route,
Right.
that's it affects them mentally to the point where, man, I've seen why actors commit suicide and they get depressed and everything else because they weren't raised like that. They didn't have that. It's kind of like they kept it in a little bottle. Like they say, hey, no, that's not right. I shouldn't do that. But then
Mhm.
Hollywood and everybody else says, hey, it's okay. It's just fake. It's just fake. It's just fake.
But I think that's the divine purpose for parents, because we all was born sinners. Ain't nobody had to teach us how to lie.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody had to teach us how to steal nothing.
I know
Yeah.
my
We got to teach our
whoop,
kids not to do this stuff,
Hey, man,
right?
I
not
hate
to
to.
do it.
I
But
hate.
you know what? Let me tell you something. Having Jana, man, it taught me a lot. And I
Mhm.
mean, I know how I am, but I had to pull back and say, this little girl, either she had to be here before because there's no way. And I'm like, And I'm like, you looking at me out the corner of your eye, knowing that you're not supposed to be doing this, or know I'm gonna have a problem with it. So that means this 4 years old, that means it's in you to do wrong.
Well,
But
the
it's
thing
for
is,
us to steer that wrong thought process into the right direction.
Right. It's the
until they
purpose.
get the freedom to make their own choices.
I think
Well,
it's a
at the end
divine
of the day,
purpose.
that's what it end up with anyway. Because
Because a lot of the stuff is genetic, bro. You
well,
know, there's so
Yeah,
many,
yeah,
there's
that
so
too.
many,
That
there's
too.
so yeah, so many ancestries inside that one body
yeah,
that you're not the only one responsible for that child or that child's action.
yeah,
That's
Generational curses.
right,
everything. Great grandpa, great great
Yeah,
great great grandma,
yeah.
you know, that all of that is in that baby's mind, and all of that has been passed down little by little. And some of the things that you say, oh, she's been here. Yeah, she's been here
yeah.
through your whole generation.
You sure right,
And somewhere deep down inside, there was somebody that would give that side eye. There's somebody else who would do that little smirk when they were being deviant.
right.
So it just our we're supposed to try to guide them as best as can.
Best as you
But
can.
but that's all you can do, man. Because like I said, I got them. You know, mine are stacked up. Like mine are
Yeah, I
grown.
know. I already know.
Mine are grown. Like it's just I had one that I had to physically abuse to get him right.
Hmm.
And when I mean physically abuse, I mean I had to put my hands on him.
What,
Because
Jose? You know how big
because
you are,
whooping.
man.
Hey man, hey, he didn't have no fear.
Oh my God. Oh, you're not one of the twins.
No, the little boys. He didn't have no fear. He didn't give a damn. He didn't give a damn what I did, where I said I was going to put him. He didn't give it. If I whooped him with a belt, no big deal.
Ain't nothing. Ain't. Yeah, I don't
Hey man,
even.
I had to have somebody hold him down so I
Oh
could whoop him, and it still didn't do shit to his behavior. No matter what I did, no matter
yeah,
how I said it,
yeah.
in his mind, he was, this is what I'm gonna do no matter what.
I'm trying to figure out of the twins which.
The youngest one, but
Oh,
the youngest one is 6 foot 2.5, and
I
almost
couldn't
200
even see him cutting up.
and almost 200 pounds, and it just
Wow.
it literally had to go that way. That's why I say sometimes it don't matter what you do, how you do it. I went through whoopings, I went through rewards, I went through talking, I went through, I mean, anything and everything that I could think of to try to get him to do right.
Right. Right.
But he was stuck on skipping, smoking weed. He was, I'm gonna drop you off at juvie. I called juvie. I said, hey, can I drop this kid off? He's this much trouble. Yeah, you come in, you can sign him in. I don't care. Let's go. Pack this shit. Let's go. He
Man,
packed this shit. Let's go.
let's go. Let's do it. Well,
Well,
that's
I'm
the
gonna
only
go.
way you get. That's the
Well, I'm
only
gonna
way
go.
they.
I'm gonna go take you with your aunt and uncle or your grandparent. I don't care. Let's go
Yeah. Yeah.
anywhere but here. And it just, man, like, it hurt me because it's like, man, like I shouldn't have to get this physical to
Right.
get you to understand.
Right. Right.
And and it and when I did it, he felt the effects and he kind of like, and I said, I'm telling you, it's not because I don't love you. It's because I want you to
Right.
be right.
Man, you took
I
the
don't
word
want you to
around
be,
because I was like, boy, I know you love your boy.
hey man, because I knew what path he was on, man,
Right. Right. You just tried to intervene and push him in the direction he
and
needed to
he
go.
he just, hey man,
But what? But
you,
what child is not like? Hold on for a minute, guys. Hold on. All right, guys, we are back
Hmm.
with the Very Opinionated Show. Man, look, let me tell y'all. At the end of the day, I think love pretty much conquers all because you know once you express that love and it's it will have you to overlook certain things, and then have you to look at yourself to say, you know, uh, I think we all still learning while we yet on this side of heaven, and we will never stop learning because put it this way, and I was like, we would never master this life.
No, no way.
Even if we came back and we didn't know we came, we still won't be able to master. Even if you knew
mm,
you came back, you won't be able to master
mm,
because it's steady evolving.
mm,
That's just how life feels. And man, uh, I just think, man, you know, at the end of it all, man, especially being fathers, it's just you have to stay prayerful, man, all the time for your kid, and
You
that's pretty much all you can do. That's it.
there
Period.
there's only so much you can do, and me speaking from a personal experience, I raised my daughters to be strong and independent, and I think I raised them to be part of the problem.
Oh, come on, Jose.
mm,
Hey man, hey, the way they talk to some of these guys, the way that they try to buck against me, against the system, it's like
You
now
really
you like now you misinterpreted everything that I did for you or how I did it for you to
right,
be. Um, that's like all these girls that say, I don't need no man. That's cool. I raised you not to need one. I didn't raise you not to want one.
right, right,
You know,
right,
even
right,
even if sometimes you just gotta shut up and just bow your head. If you gotta do stuff to help the relationship, do it. But don't sit there and make him feel like he ain't shit and you don't need shit.
right, right.
And I think that's part of the problem, man. Like we
Boy,
raise some
you a strong man to say that, boy. Those
mm.
some strong words.
we raise some of them to be, like I said, part of the problem and not part of the solution, because they misinterpret it and they take it all the way left. You
Man,
know,
that's
and what's the one thing you don't, like you said, the Bible used to tell you that the woman has to obey the man, has to obey the head of the household. Well, if you raise them to not need a man, they feel like the head of
yeah,
the household. They don't need to
right.
respect them. They don't need to bow down. They don't need to do any of that. So
And,
that
and,
that
and
creates part of the problem.
well, you know what? I think what it is that I just say that God said, "And all I get understanding." And I think when they see the word submit, it does not mean submit bowing down, and it is to submit under His leadership. Now, I get if the man is not leading, but it's your job is to pray for your husband that he know how to lead. But it don't, you step in and step up. Now, it's true if you love the man. I get it. But if you don't love him, okay, well, look, y'all need to sit down and have a discussion, and so y'all can go ahead and part ways. I would tell you that out of my mouth, quick, fast, and a hurry.
But
But if you love that man and you stick with him, submit in a sense of to God to say, let me pray for him so
so
he
many
become
so many people
wise
don't
and
know so
strong.
many people don't know the difference between love and lust.
That, well, shit.
That's why there's so many jacked up relationships.
Yeah,
That's why there's so many out of wedlock children,
right.
because they don't know the difference between love and lust. And when they're in that situation, they sit there and they think they're genuinely in love.
Yeah. And
And
it
the
was
girls and the females who do submit and do let that guy lead end up catching so much trouble or so much back shit from it, that
yeah,
they turn around and be that rock hard opposite. Like, oh no, I ain't never letting another man do this to me. I ain't
right.
never, I'm never believing what another man has to